In this lesson, we're going to watch the interviews of 4 international celebrities and analyze their English skills. We will examine their vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation, and we'll fix some of their mistakes so that you can improve your English and sound more natural. Remember that no one is perfect and it's completely normal to make mistakes. Learning from your own mistakes and the mistakes of others is the best way to learn. Let's get started with our first celebrity. Bad Bunny is a singer, rapper, and songwriter from Puerto Rico, and his native language is Spanish. Let's take a look at a recent interview he did as a guest on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
That's Al Pacino. How cool is that?
That was amazing. It was a great experience work with Al Pacino. I was very excited.
When he said a great experience, I couldn't hear the S at the end. It sounded like experience. It's really important to pronounce the S sound at the end of a word. This is true for all words that end with CE, like patience, practice, sentence, etc. I think this happened because he was trying to speak a little faster here. Speaking faster does not mean that you're speaking better. Don't worry too much about speed because if you try to speak too quickly, it could have a negative effect on your pronunciation.
I think I love to create at the studio, but I think the perform to the people is my favorite thing about the music.
There are 3 important mistakes in this sentence that I'd like to mention. Number 1, if the subject of the sentence is an action, we use the gerund form, like 99% of the time. Speaking in public makes me very nervous. Dancing is my favorite form of exercise. Number 2, generally you perform something for someone. The band will perform songs from their new album for their fans. And number 3, in this sentence we have a plural count noun, people, and a non-count noun, music. When you speak generally about a plural noun or a non-count noun, don't use an article. Vegetables are good for you. I like dogs more than cats. Life is short. So let's put that all together. The correct sentence should be, performing for people is my favorite thing about music.
Like what part? Like, is it when people sing the song back to you?
Yes, I think that's the best feeling ever.
Excellent. This is a very natural expression with the word ever. In English, we really like to exaggerate our feelings when something is very good or very bad. Like, this is the best pizza ever, or I had the worst day ever. Also, his pronunciation is fantastic. Listen to him say, the best feeling ever.
That's the best feeling ever.
When a word ends with the sequence ST, drop the T if the next word begins with a consonant. Here are some other examples. The next stop. The next stop. The worst time. The worst time. We drop the T here because it's really difficult to pronounce all of those consonants next to each other. If I try to pronounce all the consonants, it sounds like next stop, worst time. That feels very forced and unnatural. Bad Bunny is a great example of using the vocabulary that you already have. You don't need to learn a ton of academic vocabulary or idioms to have a natural conversation in English. I'm so happy to see Bad Bunny stepping outside his comfort zone a little bit and doing more interviews in English. Great job. Let's move on to celebrity number 2. Omar Sy is an actor from France. He's best known for his performances in movies such as The Intouchables and in the Netflix series Lupin. His native language is French, and we're going to start with an interview that he did for the movie Samba back in 2014.
It's a kind of family, so I have the confidence with them, and I trust them. So to take the challenge, it was better to do it with them.
I'm sure that it's really difficult for French speakers to pronounce the TH sound in English, like at the beginning of the word them. them. However, the problem here is that he's over anticipating the TH sound, and he pronounces it too early. He accidentally puts the TH at the end of the word trust, so it sounds like truff, which is incorrect. Here, I'm giving the same pronunciation tip that I gave during Bad Bunny's interview. Drop the final T to make the pronunciation easier. I trust them. I trust them.
And all the sacrifices somebody did on his life is more big than mine.
Let's talk about a few things here. In English, you don't do a sacrifice, you make a sacrifice. For example, my mother made a lot of sacrifices for her children. After that, it was hard to tell which preposition he used. I think he said on his life when he should have said in his life. We use the preposition in with some phrases that talk about personal experiences at any point inside a duration of time, so between the beginning and the end. That's the best book I've read in my life. Michael Jordan is the best basketball player in history. Also, let's change is to are because we have the plural subject sacrifices. And finally, let's change more big to bigger. Generally, adjectives with only one or two syllables add the er suffix in the comparative form. Small becomes smaller. Happy becomes happier. If an adjective has 3 or more syllables, just add the word more with no er suffix. Interesting, more interesting. Confident, more confident. So altogether, the sentence should be, all the sacrifices Samba made in his life are bigger than mine.
And for me, the more is dramatic, the more you have to use humor to move on.
Here we have an advanced structure for comparative sentences. The more, the more. This type of sentence shows a cause and an effect. So, an increase or decrease of something causes an increase or decrease of something else. The bigger the risk, the greater the reward. The longer they waited, the more anxious they became. The most common example is, the more the better.
Information is information. You know, it's like the more the better.
I like sauce.
Me too. I think the more the better.
In this case, the correct sentence would be, the more dramatic it is, the more you have to use humor to move on. On top of being a phenomenal actor with a warm personality, Omar Sy has proven that he's able to communicate effectively in English. Plus, his English has really improved a lot since the time of that interview. Celebrity number 3 is Anitta, who is a very popular singer, songwriter, and dancer from Brazil. Her native language is Portuguese, but she's also fluent in Spanish. Let's watch another clip of The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, I started singing in English and Spanish. Spanish like 4 years ago, and in English was like 1 year ago. And in Brazil, I have like 12 years of career, and everything started to grow up very fast. But then
in English, we usually don't use a duration of time to describe a career, but we could say something like, I've been a singer for 12 years. I have 12 years of experience. Or I started my career 12 years ago. She also says everything started to grow up really fast, but it sounds better to say grow. We mostly use grow to talk about things that increase in size or amount. The city's population is growing rapidly. Some plants need a lot of water to grow. The phrasal verb grow up is more specific. It means to develop from being a child to being an adult. For example, he was born in New York, but he grew up in California. My daughter wants to be a teacher when she grows up. Grow up can also be used informally to tell someone to behave in a more responsible and mature way, like an adult.
Come on, Douglas, grow up. Come on! Now grow up a little.
And somebody told me that for Brazilians, it was impossible to break up, like to break out of Brazil, to cross over. And whenever I hear the word impossible, I want to go for it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Here we have a very good use of the phrasal verb break out. She started to say break up, but then she corrected herself. In this context, the verb break out means to be very successful, especially after a long time of being unsuccessful. You'll often see this as an adjective before a noun, breakout. Tom Cruise's breakout film was Risky Business in 1983. So this was the movie that originally made him famous and successful. Here's another phrasal verb. If a performer crosses over, it means that they change from working in one area of entertainment to another. Many singers have crossed over to the world of acting. You can also use this as an adjective or a noun. There are many examples of successful crossover artists. Taylor Swift made a crossover from country music to pop music. Go for it. To go for something. Another phrasal verb that's really common in spoken English. And it means to try to get something or achieve something.
So, I would say go for it, even if you're nervous.
And she decided to go for it.
So overall, Anita's English is absolutely amazing. She has no problem expressing what's on her mind. She's really enjoying herself and putting her personality into it. And the fact that this is her third language makes her English even more impressive. Very well done. Our final celebrity is RM, the leader of the world-renowned Korean boy band BTS. Because the group has become so popular around the globe, RM is the member who's responsible for speaking during English interviews and events. Today we're going to examine how he carries himself in an interview on the Zach Sang Show.
That was the kickoff of the whole creative process. I made this song like in 2019, like April, I guess. So it was the first one that I ever completed.
A kickoff is the beginning of an activity such as a meeting or an event. It comes from the world of sports, where the first kick marks the start of the game. For example, the kickoff is at 6 p.m. This is also a phrasal verb, to kick off something. For example, I'm going to kick off today's meeting with a message from the CEO.
The name of the team is so big, so some people really misunderstand about me, and they act different sometimes, so it's really hard to make friends.
To misunderstand means that you fail to understand something or someone correctly. Maybe you think that something means one thing, but it really means something else. Here, we don't use a preposition before the direct object. Some people really misunderstand me. You misunderstand someone, or you can misunderstand something about someone.
Most of my real friends were from my teenage. Same for me.
Teenage years.
Yeah.
Here you can see that the host of the show was waiting for him to finish the sentence with the word years. The word teenage, or sometimes you'll also see teenaged, is an adjective that comes before a noun. There's another option with the noun form teenager. So he could also say, most of my friends are from when I was a teenager. Keep in mind that generally languages that are more closely related to each other are easier to learn. So a person who speaks German or Dutch or even Spanish will have a much easier time learning English than someone who speaks a language like Korean or Japanese. So although Korean and English are extremely different from each other in so many ways, he understands English on such a deep and nuanced level. Are there any other international celebrities whose English you're curious about? Leave a comment and introduce me to some of your favorite English-speaking celebrities, and I might analyze their English in a future video as well. If you enjoyed this and you'd like to see more, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm Gina, and you can learn more about me and my classes at yourworldinenglish.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!